Yep, let's do it. All right, so you want to put cuffs on him? Hi, ma'am. Is Richard here?
Yeah.
Can you have him come to the door, please? We'll discuss it in a second.
Wipe your feet, would you?
Sure, absolutely.
What the hell? Richard! They're here. I don't know who they are.
South Brunswick, please.
South Brunswick Police.
Just so you know, we're audio visually recording. Richard,
They're recording.
can you step down here, please?
What's up?
Yeah, come in. We'll talk to you down here.
What's up, bud?
Come on down this way.
How are you? How you doing?
Go ahead.
I'm
Okay, all right. Perfect. Come here real quick.
my left shoulder. Okay.
Okay,
Right.
take it easy. All right. Up him up, please. All right. Just so you know, aware, there's a warrant out of Volusia County, Florida,
Okay.
for the incident that you're aware of what's going on.
Yeah, I was. I think I saw you there.
What you talked about, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to go back to headquarters. We'll do everything. And we also have a search warrant to search for electronic devices.
Okay.
What's upstairs? Your computer?
Yeah. Can I get a
Shoes?
yeah, shoes and a sweatshirt?
Yes.
Is
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
that for you.
Well, pat him down. We'll have a seat, and then we'll go up to your room.
Where's your cell phone device? It should be upstairs. On the.
And this is a copy of the search warrant.
Yeah.
It's for his room. We're gonna get computer devices, phones, whatnot, and that'll come with us. I'll write you a receipt so you have everything that we took. Okay?
Kind of smells like a gin locker in here. Sorry.
It's okay.
No, it's not okay. Okay.
So our suspect here, Richard Golden, is getting airfare and boarding complimentary of Volusia County. Whether he fights extradition or not is up to him. Once he's extradited, he will be housed at the happiest place on earth, the Volusia County Branch Jail. I want to thank South Brunswick, New Jersey PD, the Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office, the FBI, not only here in Daytona, but in New Jersey, task force members, the Central Florida Intelligence Exchange, who notified us about the threats that were coming in about me after we held the press conference about the GDL. And I would be remiss if I didn't really point out the State Attorney's Office, R.J. Larissa, and his investigators who actually did the investigation. We just provided a little bit of assistance, but it was really the State Attorney that did this. And I'll share with you what our suspect looks like. And basically, here's how it starts. On February 23rd, CFIX notifies us about a death threat to put a bullet in my head on it was called 4chan chat. And the chat from like 5 o'clock at night until midnight basically was about me and my press conference and attacking the GDL. And obviously, the folks on that chat, while they may not be here in Florida wreaking havoc, they certainly are online listening to the vile, disgusting, violence rhetoric that they're spewing forth. So at around 5:35 p.m., in response to my attacking the GDL and putting up their pictures and saying I stand with my Jewish friends, this is what his response is. Just shoot Chitwood in the head. He stops being a problem. They have to find a new guy to be the new problem. But shooting Chitwood in the head solves the immediate problem permanently. Just shoot Chitwood in the head. Murder him. The post was made in that online 4chan chat was what it was made at. Once we were notified by CFIX, the state attorney's office automatically picked it up. They started getting search warrants. They got an IP address. The IP address led to this South Brunswick, New Jersey address. They then got subpoenas from Comcast to get in there. And then eventually detectives went on March the 1st and confronted him. They discovered that he's anti-government, he's anti-law enforcement, and like every other active shooter that we come across is a marginalized member of society who spends hours and hours and hours in these extremist chat rooms. So when questioned by the detectives, he advised that he did make the post about wanting to shoot Chitwood online at this 4chan chat. After there was discussion on this chat line that I'm a cross-dresser and I visit small children. Now, that is straight out of this punk, cowardly GDL Facebook. That's what they do. And this just goes to the bigger picture. When you look at how synagogues get shot up, or churches get shot up, or schools get shot up, extremism is extremism. Here's a clown sitting in his bedroom who's indoctrinated by this bullshit and thinks the best way to solve the problem is to put a bullet in my head. Well, remove me from the equation. What happened in the synagogue in Pittsburgh? Somebody indoctrinated by this bullshit goes in and wipes out people in a synagogue. The black church, the black grocery store, the predominantly black grocery store in Buffalo, New York. Some white supremacist listening to this crap decides he's going to go in and wipe out black people. So it goes down the line, whether it's a school, whether it's a synagogue, whether it's a mosque. Extremism is extremism is extremism. And I cannot wait to meet him when he gets off the plane, because one of the first faces he's going to see welcoming him to Volusia County and the Volusia County Jail, the happiest place on earth, is going to be me. The charge is threat of serious bodily injury or death, written communication. It's a felony. His bond when he gets here will be $100,000 bail. And again, the state attorney's office, from the minute we were notified by CFIX on February 23rd, state attorney said, "You guys are out of this. We got it." And I'm really grateful that he has done that. There are some other subpoenas that we have out for some other parts of this investigation. I don't know how they're going to play out. We have to wait till the information comes back from the subpoenas. So I'm going to transition very quickly that while all this is transpiring, we have 3 high school students who decide, and it's no doubt based on all the media coverage of GDL and anti-Semitism, they think it's going to be really cool to go in and deface the bathroom walls in one of the high schools with swastikas on the walls. So when we decided how to turn a negative into a positive and dust off an old classic of not in my town, not in my county scumbag, we decided to go to war against anti-Semitism, print up these T-shirts, print up these mugs, Volusia Strong. All the money that we raise is going to be used to educate the youth that I come across in my job about anti-Semitism. And what we're going to ask the judge to do with these 3 little cherubs is that when sentencing time comes, part of their sentence is they have to go to the Holocaust Museum in Tampa, since they really didn't understand, is what they told us. Well, we really didn't understand, that was offensive. Well, you're teenagers in high school, you should understand that. So we're going to start educating them. Because the best way, and I said this at the press conference earlier, the best way to defeat or at least contain extremism is through unity and sunshine. And the best way to make sure that we don't have it is education. Education eradicates hate. And that's what our goal is. So you can go online. All the proceeds go to helping educate the next generation that this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable what we saw in our community. We're never going to stand for it in our community. And like I said at our first press conference, when it was all over, what impressed me the most is to watch the diversity that stood up here. Whether it was a Muslim standing next to a Jew, next to somebody from the Sikh faith, the black clergy, Catholic, non-believer, Republican, Democrat, independent, non-party affiliates, the whole gambit of Volusia County came together to stand behind our Jewish community, and we're going to continue to do that. And it's not going away. Yesterday or 2 days ago at Stanford University, all the Jewish folks in the dorm were singled out and their doors to their room were vandalized. And I do have to correct one thing I said in the very first press conference. The shooting that occurred out in LA, where one of these GDL members stalked and opened fire on 2 Orthodox Jews, was 2 days prior to the Speedway incident. I said it was 2 days after that incident. So anybody have any questions?
What happens if he does waive the extradition? What do you do next?
Then he'll be brought here quicker. I can't give you how long that would be, but it will be pretty quick. If he fights us, it could take up to 3 months before, New Jersey and Florida get together and force him to come down. I would venture to say the fact that he admitted to the detectives what he did, I kind of think that, he'd probably just waive extradition.
Sheriff, this is the first arrest in that threat directly made to you, but you also mentioned that you have other subpoenas there?
We have subpoenas out for other social media.
Is this in relation to the same?
It's a different incident, but it's in relation to the GDL.
This is my first time hearing someone directly threatening a cop, particularly in our area. Do you acknowledge, Sheriff, that are you the first one to get those kind of death threats in relation to hate groups?
In relation to hate groups, yes. I had him back when I was in Daytona. We had a guy who threatened to kill the captain of detectives, a detective, and me, and claimed he was in Tuscaloosa Park with a sniper rifle. And interesting, that judge granted a protection order against us for the guy to threaten us. I never understood the judge on that one, but he was probably busy dressing up as Abraham Lincoln and not paying attention to what was going on at the time. So those of us who have been here a long time know who I'm talking about. What is interesting in this is, you focus on Volusia County, because that's my job. But to see the emails and the phone calls that come in from Vegas, Albany, New York, San Francisco, you name it, they're coming in from all over the place. So it's scary to think that there's pockets of these cowardly scumbags that operate anonymously. Again, his postings were anonymous. That's how he when he was posting, and they all were posting in the chat, everything is anonymous. They don't want to be identified. And I guess if I looked like this, I really wouldn't want to be identified being 38 years old and living in my mother's back bedroom with no job. Yes, sir.
Sheriff Chitwood, Chris Collin, newsstationbeach.com. Does Richard Golden have any known history living in or visiting Volusia County?
He does not. He does not. But he's going to have a history now.
What connection does he have to you then? Is it just because you're...
The connection was that he watches, and he's in this GDL. They have their own YouTube channel. They do these things where you could call in and do video chats. There's all stuff that under the radar that we don't know about. He's in those chat rooms. And the connection was he didn't like what I said. And he followed their thing that this guy, the sheriff in Volusia County, is a cross-dresser. He's a pedophile. Somebody called my daughter, my middle daughter, and said to her, your father's a pedophile. We hacked into his computer. There's pictures of your kids with your father and all this other shit. And my daughter calls me, Dad, what's going on? I said, babe, you don't have kids. So if you don't have kids, they don't know who you are. They got your number. Just don't answer the damn phone.
Is that scary though?
It's for them, not for me. This is what I do for a living. I couldn't give two shits left. So I said before, again, come get me. But you want to do anonymously and go after somebody's family or go after somebody's parents? They swatted my parents a couple weeks ago. 3 o'clock in the morning, called and said 2 people were dead. I'm in here armed. I'm going to kill the first cop that comes up. Then I'm going to kill myself. And they gave my parents' address.
Sheriff, you say you're going to protect the Jewish people here in the Volusia County. How exactly do you intend to do that?
I think it's eyes and ears is the big thing. We're going to meet tomorrow again with them, listen to their concerns. How do they target harden their homes? How do they target harden their places of worship and their schools? And how do they protect themselves from the scourge of social media? We live in a different world, man. It's not hard to find somebody's address and phone number and then drop those horrible, incredibly leaflets in there that are just so offensive and obviously pushing somebody toward violence. That's what the concern of all this is. These punks don't have the guts to pull the trigger. But a guy like this guy, sitting at home, that's the kind of guy that would make a road trip.
Other question, you say that the money that you collect selling these shirts and cups is going to go to the future, to dedicate the future. But what about
Well, it's the kids now that we come in contact with. We have a youth foundation that their sole purpose is to give educational and cultural experiences to kids who would never have it before. So what better way than I have 3 kids, teenagers, who think drawing swastikas on school property is a cool thing to do. Well, maybe you need to go down and learn a little bit from it, and maybe that might change a mindset. Yes, sir.
How involved were you within the investigation?
Nothing, other than asking questions. And my captain back there will tell you I asked him all the time.
And for the students, what school did they go to?
I'm not allowed to give that out.
Sheriff, how mad did it make you to understand and hear this guy wanted to shoot you in the head? How mad did it make you?
Oh, I was furious. But I can identify with the folks that were in the room of the Jewish faith who get the same death threats, and we might not be able to track them down, or who are scared to report them for us, or who don't want to tell us for fear that their name and their address might get out. So they internalize that, and they lead their life looking over their shoulder. So that's why I said I wore it as a badge of honor, because I know of at least 2 people that were in this room who have received death threats from GDL.
How did you think he would do it?
How did I think?
Did you think he would do it?
I think he has every opportunity to do it. He's got the motive. He's got the motive, and he sat it, and he did it online. Whether he could follow through on it, nobody knows, but why wait? It's illegal to do that. Yes, sir.
Did you find any evidence that he had either the plans or the means to actually follow through on this threat?
We'll find out, because we seized his computer and his cell phones. It wouldn't surprise me. I won't go out there and say what we may find on his computer and his cell phone that may lead to more charges. Just speculating there.
The FBI recently came out with a report in 2021 saying that hate crimes had increased by about 12%. Why do you think we're seeing more hate right now?
That is a great question, and I'm just going to go off the top of my head. I think because we're allowing it. When we say things like Charlottesville, there were good people on both sides. That's like saying there's good members of GDL. That's why it was so important for me to show who they are. They're criminals. They're convicted felons. They're convicted sex offenders. That's what's pushing the narrative. And then you have all the other stuff that goes on with conspiracy theories, like Sandy Hook never happened. I mean, are you kidding me? Sandy Hook never happened? Seriously? But that gets out there, and you got these wackos that are sitting in their mother's bed, in the back room in their mother's home, indoctrinated into this stuff. And again, I want to say it over and over and over again. Extremism is extremism is extremism. Somehow we've separated. Oh, there's extremism on the right. It's not as bad as extremism on the left. And what about you do? It's extremism. You know, you're looking to destroy somebody. It doesn't matter what side it's on.
And I was talking to a leader, and he told me that he believes it's out of fear. Fear of the unknown, perhaps? Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. I think you go back through history, what normally has happened is people fear something that they don't know, and then therefore they have to lash out against it and try to destroy it instead of taking the time to understand it. That's why I say education is the greatest way to fight hatred. I mean, I look at myself, and I'll use an example. You know, when I went back to college, that was later in life. You know, I was in my 30s when I went back to school. I was in my 40s when I got my master's degree, and I'm sitting in a classroom with women who were divorced, that had 5 kids that were, you know, their husband left them. They had to get an education to go back to work. They were young people. They were old people. They were black, white, yellow, brown. There were people coming in from another country. You sit in a classroom with that, and you're all in it together trying to do, you know, calculus or trying, you know, you're all in the same boat. It doesn't really matter. We all have the same goal here. The goal was to get out of this class and graduate and try to better our lives and our families' lives.
Sheriff, you have a message for this guy.
For this guy, welcome to Volusia County. Welcome to Volusia County.
What can he expect?
3 hots and a cot.
Sheriff, I understand he said he didn't belong to a hate group or anything, but I mean his actions and everything does create the belief that he is attached to hate groups, right?
I mean, I don't think anybody here is logging in to watch the GDL YouTube broadcast. I don't think anybody here is calling in when they do these round video chats. So clearly you could say you don't belong to it, but what the hell are you doing there viewing it and commenting and posting that you're going to kill the sheriff? I mean, that just goes to show you how gutless they are, or in some ways how they really don't fear the law, that you would threaten the chief law enforcement officer in the state of Florida, in Volusia County, Florida, and believe that I ascended to this position with child porn on my computer? I mean, seriously? Yes.
It's kind of a crazy question, but when does it ever end? It seems like every press conference we have, that hate just festers more. Festers on you, festers on society around us. How do we just get this to like...
You're never going to beat it down. It's been around since Adam and Eve, if you think of it. When has there not been genocide in the world? When has there not been that? When has there not been people killed for their religion, for the color of their skin, for their socioeconomic status? When? We fought a world war over it. It's just you're just not going to stop hatred. Hatred is hatred. We have people in the human race, and they can't look at themselves in the mirror, and they don't want to look at anybody else. So they got to take it out, like somebody just said here. Yes, ma'am.
There's a bill being looked at right now, the legislation.
269. Yep.
So how do you think this is necessary?
It's an extra tool in the toolbox, and I think Representative Fine, when he was here, said it best. There's a difference between standing on a corner and yelling and screaming and holding up a sign. Sure, you could disagree with it. It's hateful speech. It's free speech. That's just speech. But when you start going on private property and dropping off these flyers, when you start projecting messages of hate and violence on the private property, when you're committing acts of vandalism, when you're committing acts of assault, that's not covered by free speech.
What was your reaction when you first saw the body?
I thought, why does this not surprise me what this guy looks like? Why? I mean, this guy's out of central casting. If anybody's going to threaten the sheriff and be part of a hate group like the GDL or any hate group, this guy comes right out of poster child. You know, again, no job, marginal lifestyle, living in his mother's room. And I don't know how many times I respond to these keyboard commandos and say the same thing. You're probably in your mother's room, basement, typing these crazy messages wearing your underwear on your head. That's the only thing I was disappointed. I thought we would have had him come down in his underwear. He did have a T-shirt on.
Sheriff, is he a neo-Nazi?
He says he's not.
Okay.
But he's on the website forums. He's watching their press conference. He's following everything that they're doing.
Where did you get the idea for the shirts? I've never seen that before.
Back in 2007, one of my explorers drew a character of me. And it was that character. Now it's a little bit older, and they changed the uniform a little bit. And we thought it was so good, a business person said, I'm going to print up shirts for you and donate the money to a charity. I said, well, donate it to our police athletic league. We're not really making any money out of it. And I think we sold $10,000 worth of T-shirts. So we had $10,000 off of selling T-shirts like that for the police athletic league. So when this came up, they're like, hey, why not, instead of it being prostitutes and drug dealers and everything else, why not make it GDL members? Although somebody said we should have made a bigger toilet. But the most important thing is I think so far we've sold $5,000 worth of merchandise. And again, it's used for education. That's what the Youth Foundation is for. It's to get kids that we come across and expose them to education and cultural opportunities they may not have had before.
How much are they?
The shirts are $25 and the coffee mugs are $15. I personally like the coffee mugs.
Sheriff, I hate to follow up, but can you tell us more about those 3 kids who were...
I can't get into too much because they're juveniles. I could just tell you that they were arrested for defacing school property. The defacement was swastikas, and when they were questioned at our juvenile assessment center, they claimed, we didn't know that was offensive.
How old are they, would you say?
They're teenagers, old enough to know better. Especially coming on the heels of what transpired the week before. But we see it. You see it with the active shooter threats. There's a shooting at a school, and what do we get? We get 10, 15 threats the next day. Online, phone calls into dispatch, there's going to be an active shooter. So they think it's a game. I can't tell you the school either because it would identify who the kids were.
And Sheriff, just to confirm, this fellow, this picture, the picture you held up is the same fellow in the body cam video?
Same guy.
And his name again?
Golden. Robert, let me double check that. I think I would know that off the top of my head. Richard Golden. And that's him being led into the police station.
And he saw, what you had to say on TV?
He saw their website. He's in their web. He's in a chat with all these other idiots that chat about this stuff. And that's where he gets his information about me that says, I have to put a bullet in this guy's head. That's how you stop him.
Does he have a criminal history anywhere else he lived?
He does not, that I know of off the top of my head. So I thank you guys for coming. And on your way out, feel free to write us a check.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, guys.